Welcome everyone. Today we'll see the part 10 of Certificate in Cybersecurity exam question and answers. The first question is a hacker is trying to gain access to company network. Which of the following scenario would be an example of defense in depth? So what is defense in depth? Setting up the multi-layer security controls to protect the organization assets. So okay, we'll see the options. A company relies solely on firewall to block unauthorized access. So this is not the correct definition of defense in depth. And company stores all sensitive data on a single server. This is also not the correct definition. And hacker is required to enter username and password. So that this is the correct answer, because so even though the hacker got access to the company network, if he want to access any of that system resources, he need the username and password, since it is protected with authentication. So this is a kind of defense in depth concept. So the answer is C. So here the question is, does uses multiple types of access control in literal or theoretical layers to help an organization avoid a monolithic security? So here the question is types of access control with layered approach. So, so which uses a layered security controls. So DMZ. So DMZ is not related to layered security controls. The VLAN is also not. Defense in depth is the correct one. So defense in depth uses layered security controls to protect the organization assets. And VPN is also not related. So the option is correct answer is C, defense in depth. So here the question is, a company wants to ensure that its employees can evacuate the building in case of emergency. Which physical control is best suited for this scenario? So here the keyword is best suited. So here the first option is fire alarm. So fire alarm is used to detect that emergency situation. An exit sign is not properly solves emergency evacuation. And emergency lighting, so this also won't solves the emergency evacuation. So emergency exit doors. So this is the correct answer, because through the emergency exit door, the employee can evacuate and go to the safest place in the building. So the option D is the correct one. So here the question is, what is the difference between business continuity planning and disaster recovery planning? So first option is business continuity planning is about restoring IT and communication back to full operation. So business continuity plan is not about only restoring IT and communication. It's about sustaining the mission critical business operations. So that's not, option A is not the correct one. And option B is disaster recovery planning is about restoring IT and communication back to full operation after a disruption, while business continuity planning is about maintaining critical business function. This is the correct option. So because DRP is about restoring IT and communication to full operation, and BCP is to sustain the critical business functions. So that's a keyword. So the option B is the correct one. So here the question is, an organization security system which involves in preventing, detecting, analyzing and responding to cyber security incidents. So here the options are business continuity team. So that is not the correct one, because business continuity team involves in sustain the critical business operations. That is not related to incident responding. And disaster recovery team, so that also not the correct one. That involves restoring the IT and communication systems to normal and full working mode. So that is also not the correct one. Incident response team might be the correct one, but we'll see the second last one, security operations center. So this is the correct answer. So because this is the organization security system team which involves in preventing it. This is the holistic. The security operations team may also include incident response team and disaster recovery team. Everyone will be part of security or operation center. So the correct answer is D. So here the question is, which of these activities is often associated with DR efforts? So options are running anti-malware solution. That is not part of DR effort. So because running anti-malware is with respect to security team and scanning the IT environment for vulnerabilities. So this is also not related to DR effects. So efforts because this DR activities happens after any disaster or any failure in the system happens. Zero-day exploit, this is also not relevant. And employees returning to the primary production location after the disaster recovery. So this is a correct one. So option D is a correct one. So here the question is: a hacker gains access to an organization system without authorization and steal confidential data. Which term best describes this? Event. So event is not a correct one. Event is any occurable incident. And a breach is also not a correct one because a breach is the disclosure of confidential data without authorization. And intrusion, this is a correct one because the hacker external entity who is gain access to organization system. So that is the correct one. So option C is the correct one. Exploit is also not the correct one because there is no system vulnerability is not hacked or threatened. So the option C is the correct one. Here the question is, DAS is a way to prevent unwanted devices from connecting to a network. So here the option is DMZ. So DMZ is not the correct one. DMZ is a kind of security system placed in a perimeter, a network perimeter. So that is not the correct one. And that won't filters. The DMZ usually it won't filters or it won't do any rules for the connecting devices. It just provides the isolation between the public network and the private network. And VPN. So VPN also is not the correct one. So VPN is a way to external users connecting to the internal system using uh, private tunnel. So that is not a correct one. VLAN. So virtual LAN is a kind of logical LAN created in a internal network using layer 3 switch. So that also won't prevent unwanted device from connecting. NAC, network access control is a correct one. So network access control set up rules for the connecting devices so that based on the rules the network is allowed or denied access. So the option is D is a correct one. So here the question is: a hacker launched a specific attack to exploit a known system vulnerability. Which term best describes this situation? Breach, event, exploit, and intrusion. The correct answer is exploit. C. C is the correct answer. So because the breach is an unauthorized disclosure of confidential information, and event is an any occurrence in any observable occurrence. Exploit is a exploit system vulnerability, and intrusion is intruder gain access. So just remember these keywords for easily remembering these security incidents. So here the question is: how do IT professionals differentiate between typical IT problems and security incidents? So here the options are by providing medical assistance at accident scene. So this is not related to IT professional, and by collecting evidence and reposting the incident. So this is not related to differentiate between IT problem and security incident. And by receiving specific training on incident response, this might be the correct one. We'll see the last one. So by participating in remediation and lesson learned stage, this is also not the appropriate one. So the answer is C. So here the question is: what is the range of well-known ports? Okay, what is well-known ports? So well-known ports are the ports by default the TCP communication system uses for their application protocols like FTP, Telnet, SSH. These are well-known protocols. So as per the definition of IP ports specification, so for option A is the correct one, 0 to 1023. This is the ports assigned for well-known. So here you can see the ports for specific for well-known ports, registered ports, and dynamic and private ports. Please make note of this. Here the question is: a device that routes traffic to the ports of known devices. So this is a tricky question. So by saying you may tend to choose a router is the correct answer, but router is not the correct because router routes traffic across networks from one network to another network. Router routes the traffic. So here the question states the device that route traffic to the port of known device. So this is within the network. So within the network, the option should be either switch or hub. And the question already stated to the known devices. Known devices in the sense which remembers that MAC address of the connected devices so that it can able to route the traffic to the particular designated devices. But hub, it uses broadcast. It won't store that MAC address of that connected devices. So it what and all the what and all the packet it received, it just broadcast to all the devices. So here the correct answer is A, switch, not the router. So here the question is, an organization's experience a security event that potentially jeopardize the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of its information system. What term best describe this situation? So the keyword is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It is going to compromise the CI triad. So the answer is incident. So as per the definition of the question, the option C is the correct one. So here the question is, what is the purpose of post incident phase of incident response? So here the options are to detect and analyze this incident. So this is not the post incident activity, and to prepare for future incidents. So this is also not the correct one. To document lesson learned and improve future incident response effectiveness. Yeah, this is the correct one of post incident phase. And to containment and eradicate incidents is not the correct one. So option C is the answer. So here the question is, which is the short form of IP version 6 address? So how to shorten the IP version 6? So to shorten the IP version 6, all the zero entries they remove and all the prefix zeros also they remove. Only they put the whole numbers like 2001 and then they remove 0. 0 is a prefix here. They remove the 0. And if you see this entry, the full 0. So all the 0 entries they remove. And at the last 2 entries, if you see here also we have 2 zeros. So all the prefix zeros they remove and they put only 1 0. And here 0001 they remove all the 3 zeros and only put the 1. So the answer is A. So this is the way through this is the approach they follow to shorten the IP version 6 address. So here the question is, which component of the incident response plan involves identifying critical data and system? So options are detect and analysis. So detect and analysis is the later stage. That is not the correct one. Preparation, that might be the correct one. And containment and eradication. So okay, that also not the correct one. So the answer is B, preparation. So in the preparation phase only, we'll do develop a policy approved by management and then identify critical systems and data and systems single point of failure. This is to identify the risk involved in this critical system. So the answer is B. Here the question is, dash measures of the extent to which an entity is threatened by a potential circumstance or event and likelihood of occurrence. So here the key word is likelihood of occurrence. So once we see the likelihood of occurrence, straight away we should answer risk. So the answer is risk. So here the question is, the Internet Standard Organization made up of network designers, operators, vendors, and researchers that defines protocol standards. Okay. So here the keyword is protocol. Okay. So we'll see the options. ISO, International Standard Organization. They are not involved in this protocol standard. They are involved in the generalized standards and guidelines and procedures. And in NIST also not only related to protocol standard. They are with the security standards and security measures. IEFT, Internet Engineering Task Force. So this is a correct one. So option C is correct. GDPR is for privacy. So it is to protect the PIA and privacy information of individuals. So the option C is the correct one. So here the question is, Danny is an IAC Square member and an employee of New Corps. One of his Danny's colleagues offers to share a film that contains an illicit copy of a newly released movie. What should Danny do? So inform to IAC Square. So this is not the correct way. So that is not related to the ISC square code of ethics. And inform law enforcement, so that also not the correct one. Accept the movie and refuse to accept. As per the ISC square code of ethics, option D is the correct one. So here the question is, a company has implemented mandatory access control for its confidential data. Which of the following statement is true? The data can be accessed by users who possess any need to know. This is not the correct one. So, and access control cannot be changed by anyone except the system administrator. This is related to mandatory access control. So we'll see the next one. The owner of the data can modify the access control. This is not related to mandatory access control. This is related to discretionary access control. That the system administrator can change the access controls. So both B and D are seems to be similar, but as per the definition of mandatory access control, the more appropriate answer is B, because access control cannot be changed by anyone except the system administrator. That's a appropriate definition of mandatory access control. Also, please check the channel. I have uploaded the access control mechanisms and then definitions in a separate video. Please watch that video. The first question is that does requires that all instances of the data be identical in form, content, and meaning. The options are confidentiality. This is not the correct one because confidentiality related to protecting the sensitive information from unauthorized users. And availability, that's also not the correct one. Availability is giving access to the system when required. And consistency is a correct answer because it stated that data should be identical. The consistency in the sense that data of the if you have multiple services tries to access the data, the each services to get the same and similar set of data. So it shouldn't like one system getting one type of data and other system getting another type of data. That is not consistency. So the answer is C. The second question is, what is knowledge based authentication? So authentication based on passphrase or secret code. So this is a definition of type 1. So that might be similar. That might be the correct answer. We'll see the other things. Authentication based on token and memory card. That is not correct. And authentication based on biometric and measurable characteristics. That also not correct. Authentication based on something you do. So now knowledge based authentication related to, so watch what and all we remember, and we use the remember to remove but key to get access. So the answer is A. So here the question is, DAS is defined as a process of identifying, estimating, and prioritizing risk assessment. So that's a correct definition of risk assessment. And risk treatment and risk mitigation and risk management are not related to the identification, estimation, and prioritizing. So the answer is A. So which is the first step in risk management process? Risk response, risk mitigation, risk identification, or risk assessment. So risk response and risk mitigation we'll do after we identify and after we get that priority of the risk. So the risk identification is the first step in risk management process. Without identifying the risk, we can't able to do the mitigation plan, response plan, as well as the assessment of the risk. So the thing is, the first step is in the risk management process is risk identification. So option C is the correct one. Here the question is, an IP network protocol standardized by the Internet Engineering Task Force through RFC 792 to determine if a particular service is or host is available. So here the keyword is the host is available. It's a kind of testing the reachability. So which protocol is used in testing the reachability? So IP, ICMP, IGMP are all. So ICMP is the correct one. So because ICMP uses in the ping command to test the reachability of that host or the endpoints. So the answer is B. Here the question is, a measure of the degree to which an organization depends on the information or the information system for the success of the mission of the business function. So availability, criticality, authorization, and confidentiality. So if you see the question carefully, so degree to which an organization depends on information or information system. So availability, authorization, and confidentiality are the CAA triads which comes as part of the security measures or security concepts. So B is the correct one. So criticality. So criticality is the degree to which an organization depends on information system. So the answer is B. So here the question is, John was recently offered a consulting opportunity as a side job. He is concerned that this might constitute a conflict of interest. Which of the following shows that he needs to refer to take a appropriate decision? So, so here the question says it's a thing related to conflict of interest. In the conflict of interest, so who the employee should refer? IAC code of ethics. This is irrelevant because that where the employee is working, that's a concerned organization. So this is not the correct one. The organization code of ethics. This might be the correct option because so the organization code of ethics may stated so which and all the employees duties and jurisdictions. So those are all mentioned in the code of ethics. You should refer that one. And ISC code of ethics. This is also not relevant. And organization security policy. Security policy stated so what are the security concerns with related to that organization asset production. That's also not the correct one. So option B is the correct one. Organization code of ethics. So here the question is which of the following is not a source of redundant power? So here the keyword is not a source of redundant power. So which of that options won't be involved in supporting redundant power? Okay, so the option is A, generator. So generator is used to so make the system redundant power. And utility, this also the utility also is a source of redundant power. And UPS, definitely this is a source of redundant power. HVAC, this is not the source of redundant power, but this HVAC may need redundant source power source, but this is not the source of redundant power. So the answer is D. So here the question is, how do you distinguish between authentication and identification? So option A, both same. That is not correct. There is slight difference is there. Okay. Which is option B is authentication is a process of verifying user's identity. That is correct. And identification is the ability to identify uniquely a user of a system or an application. So this is correct. This is exact definition of authentication and identification. We see the option C. Authentication is a process of verifying user's identity. Identification is the process of allowing user access. This is not correct. And identification is the process of verifying user identity, and authorizing the process of allow access, resource access. This is also not correct. This is authorization. So the option B is the correct one. So here the question is, what is the best practice to clear SSD storage after usage in terms of cyber security? So how you ensure that SSD storage is cleaned and it's not been accessed by any other intruders or any of the hackers? So options are zero fill. So if we zero fill the SSD storage, that is not the proper way of clearing the SSD storage. And degaussing used for magnetic storage, not for SSD storage. And clearing, if you clear the SSD storage, that time after that also, there is a possibility the data can be restored. Disintegration. Disintegration is a process of destroying the SSD storage. That's a proper way of clearing of the SSD storage after usage. So the option D is the correct one. So here the question is, when responding to a cyber security incident, your team determines that the vulnerability that was exploited was not widely known to a security community, and there are no currently known definition listing in common vulnerability database of collections. This vulnerability and exploit might be called dash. Okay, here the keyword is not unknown vulnerability. So the answer malware is a not correct one. Zero day is a correct definition of the statement. So the answer is B. Event and attack is not related. So the answer is B. Here the question is, a company major data center goes down due to hardware failure, causing a major disruption to the IT and communication system. What is the focus of the disaster recovery plan in this scenario? Okay. So here the question is maintaining critical business functions during disruption. This is not the activity of DR planning. It's a business continuity plan activities, and fixing the hardware failure. This is not the key focus for the DR. And restoring IT and communication back to full operation after the disruption. This is the primary focus of the DRP. And guiding the action for emergency response personnel during the disruption. This is also not the correct one. So the answer is C. So here the question is, what is the importance of identifying roles and responsibilities in incident response planning? Okay. Here the options are to prevent incidents from happening. So this is not related to the role and responsibilities, identification of role and responsibility, and to ensure that everyone knows their job in the incident response process. This might be the correct one. Okay, we'll see the next. To reduce the impact of the incidents. So this is not the correct one. And to focus to choose an appropriate containment strategy. This is also not the importance of identification of roles and responsibility. So the answer is B. Here the question is, what is the purpose of immediate response procedures and checklist in BCP? Okay. So the question, the options are to notify personnel that the BCP is being enacted. So that might be the correct one, because with that response procedures and checklist, we can notify based on the checklist and then the procedure. We can notify the BCP. BCP is enacted, and option B, to provide guidance for management. This is not the correct one, and to safeguard the confidential integrity and availability of the information. This is not correct, and to ensure business operations are accounted for in the plan. This is also not related to immediate response procedures. So the option is A is the correct one. So here the question is, who should participate in creating a BCP? Okay, in business continuity plan, who should participate? So options are only members from the IT department. That is not enough, because IT department don't know the entire business operations, and only members from the management team. That also not the correct one. So they don't know the full set of operations, business operations or business critical operations, and members from across the organization. This is correct, because the each department persons who knows that business operations, and they can find identify the critical business critical functionalities, so that is helpful for the creating the BCP plan. So option C is the correct one. Here the question is, what is the priority of incident response in the context of incident management? So options are protect the organization missions and objectives. So this might be the one of the incident response responsibility, and reduce the impact of incidents. That might also, and protect life and health and safety. So this is the priority. So the question states a priority of incident response. This is the much priority and important in of the incident response management. So and resume interrupted operation as soon as possible. These are all important, but that is not priority. So priority is product life and health and safety. So answer is C. Here the question is, what is an incident in the context of cyber security? Okay, the options are any observable occurrence in the network system. So this is not incident, this is event. And the second option is a deliberate security incident in which an intruder gains access to a system or system. This is intrusion. This is not incident. And option C is a particular attack that exploits system vulnerabilities. So this is exploit. This is not incident. And option D is an event that actually or potentially jeopardizes in confidentiality, integrity, or availability of an information system. This is the correct answer. Option D. Here the question is, a company's data center has been breached by hackers and all its systems have been taken down. What is the main objective of the DRP in such scenario? Okay, so the question answers are to relocate the data center to another location. So that might be the one of the options, but that is not the main objective. And second one is to ensure the physical safety or employee of the employees in the data center. That might be the priority, but that is not the main objective. To investigate and prosecute the hackers responsible for the attack. So that is post DR plan. So that is not really main objective. And the main objective is to restore the IT system to their last known state. This is the correct one. That is the main primary objective of DR plan. Option D is the correct one. So here the question is, dash networks are often micro-segmented networks with the firewalls at nearly every connecting points. Okay. So option DMZ. DMZ is not the correct one because the DMZ is related to setting up the uh, device in the perimeter network for protecting the internal corporate network. So that is not related. And VPN is a used to connect external users to the internal network, and it won't use any firewall at the perimeter level. And VLAN is a virtual LAN that is to use to create a logical LAN inside a network using layer 3 switch. And it also we can say that this is a micro segmented network, but it won't provide any firewall at every connecting point. So VLAN is not the correct one. So zero trust is the correct answer because zero trust involves setting up the environment in a segregated micro segmented network and setting up the firewall in nearly every connecting points. So the answer is D. So here the question is, incident management is also known as, okay, crisis risk management, the business continuity management, incident management, or crisis management. The correct answer is D, crisis management. So incident management is also known as crisis management. So the first question is, DAS allows for extremely granular restrictions within the IT environment to the point where rules can be applied to individual machines and or users. Okay, the first option is DMZ. DMZ is not related to granular restriction, and micro segmentation, that might be the answer. And VLAN, it's not. It's kind of creating the virtual LAN inside the network using layer 3 switch, but it won't provide the granular restriction. And network access control, so network access control may provide the they may that might provide the security access control, like protecting the access control, but it won't ensures the granular restriction that is not ensured by NAC. So the correct appropriate answer is B, micro segmentation. The second question is, works via encapsulation and wrapping a packet inside another packet. Okay, so options are network segmentation, so that is not related to the packet or any communication, so that is not the correct one. Load balancing, that also not correct. And tunneling is the correct definition of encapsulation and wrapping a packet inside another packet, that is refers to tunneling. And data encryption, it's also not the correct one. So the answer is C, tunneling. So here the question is, load balancing safeguard which CIA triad, either confidentiality, integrity, or availability. So load balancing is a mechanism of placing 2 or 3 servers behind the load balancer, so that if any one of the system goes down, the other system can able to process the request. So as per the statement, confidentiality integrity is not related to load balancing. So only availability. Load balancing supports provides availability in the for the information system. So the answer is B. So here the question is, representation of data at layer 3 of OSI, open system integration model. Okay, so representation of data means the protocol data unit of that layer 3. So what is called, whether it's called segment, packet, frame, or none of the above. So the layer 3 protocol data unit is packet. B is the answer. So you can refer this diagram so that it gives that OSI model level and corresponding protocol data unit. So please make note of this. So you might get questions related to this. So here the question is, faking the sender address in a transmission to gain illegal entry into a secure system. So here the keyword is hiding the identity or faking the sender address. So which is related to snooping attack. It's not related to R for phishing. It's related to spoofing attack. So answer is C. So here the question is, what is the privacy in the context of information security? Protecting data from unauthorized access. So this is the correct one. Ensuring data is accurate and unchanged. Ensuring data is accurate and unchanged, and making sure data is available when needed. This is availability. So the correct answer is A, protecting data. So here the question is, new BOED policy has been enforced in new car. Which type of control is used to ensure this security policy? Physical control, logical control, or administrative control, technical control? BOED policy is administrative control. So the answer is C. Here the question is, four main components of incident response are preparation, detection, analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery, post incident activity. So the option A is correct. All other things are not correct. So here the question is, a logical group of workstations, servers, and network devices that appears to be on the same LAN despite of their geographical distribution. Okay, so here they're telling logical separation. Okay, LAN is not correct. VPN is also not correct. And VLAN, that also not correct. Wide area network, that also not correct. So VLAN is the correct answer. So VLAN is a virtual LAN. So that is to create a logical LAN in a network using layer 3 switch. So here the question is example of dynamic authorization. Okay, so what is dynamic authorization? So dynamic authorization involves evaluating the criteria for allow or deny is based on dynamic factors like location, time, and attributes of that entity. So that evaluation may differs based on these conditions. It won't be same, but in static authorization, that evaluation will be same for any circumstances. So that if it first time it gives allows, it will allow for all the time. But in dynamic authorization, sometimes it may allow, sometimes it may not allow. So which one satisfies this condition? So either A, DAC, RBAC, MAC, or attribute based access control. So dynamic authorization example is attribute based access control. So because it uses the network device location and time of access, it can able to evolve. So attributes, those are the attributes of that entity. So this is ABAC is called dynamic authorization. So here the question is, what is the primary goal of incident management? So option is to protect health and safety. So that is not the correct answer. That is not the primary goal. That is a priority of incident response management. So option A is not correct. To reduce the impact of an incident, that might be the goal. That is not the primary goal. And to prepare for any incident, that's a primary goal of incident management. To resume interrupted operation as soon as possible. This is also not the primary goal. This is one of the goal. The primary goal is to prepare for any incident. So option C is a correct one. So here the question is, which ensures maintaining business operation during or after an incident? Okay, so incident response, business continuity, or disaster recovery. So here the keyword is maintaining business operations. So incident response and business continuity plan are not the correct one. Disaster recovery is the correct one because it involves the question stated during or after an incident. So the answer is C. So here the question is, which of the following is unlikely to be a member of a disaster recovery team? Okay, so here executive management, that might be the one of the member. Public relations, yeah. Billing clerk, doubt. So what do you do with the disaster recovery? And IT professional, definitely. So the answer C is inappropriate. So the C is a correct answer. So here the question is, when responding to security incidents, your team determines that the vulnerability that was exploited was not widely known to a security community and that there were no currently known definition listing in common vulnerability database or collections. So this vulnerability exploit might be a, so here the keyword is unknown vulnerability. So definitely the answer is B, 0 day. Here the question is, a company experiences a major IT outage and cannot perform its critical business function. What type of plan will help the company recover from this event? Okay, so here the keyword is recover. So which plan helps to recover the business functions to the normal operations? That is DRP. If the question states the company to sustain the business operation, then the plan is BCP. Here the question states recover. So the answer is C, DRP. So here the question is, a company experiences a power outage that causes a major disruption in its operation. What type of plan will help the company sustain the operation? So here the keyword is sustain. So the answer is BCP. Here the question is, a company web page is hacked by a hacker who leaves a message on the page. What type of event has occurred? So either it's intrusion or exploit. No, none of the. It is not intrusion and exploit. It might be adverse event or security incident. So as per the definition of adverse event, so the correct answer is C. It's not a security incident. So if it is a definition of adverse event, it's negative consequences such as system crash, network packet flood, unauthorized use of system privileges, defacement of web page, or execution of malicious code that destroys data. And security incident is an event that may indicate an organization system or data has been compromised or measures put in place or product them has been failed. So as per the definition, so adverse event is correctly matching the question. So answer is C. So here the question is actions, processes, and tools for ensuring an organization can continue critical operation during contingency. Okay, here the thing is uninterrupted business operation, functioning of business operation. So the answer is A. Business continuity is the correct answer. A company security team detected a cyber attack against its information system and activates a set of procedures to mitigate the attack. What type of plan is this? The business continuity plan, incident response plan, and disaster recovery or security operation plan. So incident response plan is the correct answer because there is no business continuity, there is no interruption in the business operation, and there is no system unavailability of the system crash happens. So the correct answer is incident response plan. So here the question is, a cybersecurity professional observes an unusual occurrence in the network or system. What term best describes this situation? Here the keyword is unusual occurrence. So it's didn't stated is any any system crashes or is it didn't mention any about unauthorized access. So it's just an event. So the answer is C. Event is a correct answer. The first question is, does provides integrity services that allows a recipient to verify that a message has not been altered. So here how you need to provide a tamper proofing. So hashing. So hashing, yeah, definitely it supports integrity. How? So we can create a hash key for the source message and then we'll send that source message and the key, hash key. So the recipient can check that, regenerate the hash value and compare the generated hash with the original hash. If both are same, then you can conclude that message is not tampered. So the answer is hashing is the correct answer. Encryption and decryption encoding won't provide integrity. So A is the correct answer. So here the question is, a privacy policy protects DAS from disclosure. So whether it's products PII, users, system or data. So usually the privacy policy we enforce for personal identifiable information. So option A is the correct one. So DAS can be considered to be a fingerprint of a file or message. So hashing, encryption, decryption and encoding. So here the answer is A, hashing. So the hash value is considered to be the fingerprint of the file or message. The hash key, we can call it as a fingerprint also. So the answer is A. So here the question is, which access control model is best suited for a large organization with many departments that has different data access needs. So here the keyword is a large organization and different data access needs. So here, so how we can accomplish the access control, either DAC, RBAC, MAC or RUBAC. So role-based access control is the best suit for this large organization with different data access needs. We can create a roles for different departments so that each one we can give a different set of access authorization. So the answer is B, role-based access control. So here the question is, removing the design beliefs that the network has any trust space, security is managed at each possible level, representing the granular asset. Micro segmentation of workload is a tool of the model. So here the keyword is micro segmentation and never trust. So based on the keyword, the correct answer is zero trust. Difference in depth and least privileges are not related to the question. So the answer is A, zero trust. Here the question is, which type of control is used to minimize the impact of an attack and to restore normal operations as quick as possible? So it's kind of recovery. So how soon we can recover the normal operation? So the best answer is C, recovery control. So here the question is, configuration settings are parameters stored as data managed through a software graphical user interface is logical access control, physical access control, administrative access control, or technical access control. Since that question stated software graphical user interface is definitely a logical access control. Option A is a correct one. So here the question is, if a device is found that it is not compliant with the security baseline, what will be the security team action? Either report, evaluate, ignore, or disable or isolate it into a quarantine area until it has been checked and updated. So option D is the correct one. So because if the system is not compliant, we should protect it from vulnerabilities, attack from vulnerabilities, and we should maintain it shouldn't the attack shouldn't propagate the other systems. So we should disable and isolate and the quarantine area until if it is checked and updated. So option D is the correct one. The question is, DAS are events that may indicate that an organization's systems or data has been compromised or that measures put in place to protect them have failed. So either exploit, security incidents, threat, or breach. As per the statement, security incidents is the correct answer. Here the question is, why is security training important? So options are because it fulfills regulatory requirement, no, and because it helps people to perform their job duties more efficiently, no, that is not correct. Because it reduces the risk of certain types of attack like low-level engineering. Yeah, this is the correct answer. So here the question is, which term describes a communication tunnel that provides point-to-point transmission of both authentication and data traffic over a untrusted network? Here the keyword is communication tunnel. So clearly the answer is VPN. So here the question is, what is the most important aspect of security awareness training? Here the keyword is most important. So answer options are maximize business capabilities, no. Protecting data, protecting asset might be, but that is not most important. Product health and human safety, yeah, that's a most important aspect of security awareness training. So C is the correct answer. Here the question is, system capabilities designed to protect and prevent the unauthorized use and transmission of information. So here the keyword is unauthorized use and transmission. Security Operations Center, SIM solution, data loss prevention, and cryptography. So if you see it detect and prevent. So data loss prevention is the correct answer. Data loss prevention solutions are the systems which detects and prevents the unauthorized use and transmission of information. So here the question is, which of the following is often associated with DR planning? Checklist, yeah, checklist is associated with the DR planning. Antivirus, firewall. So all of them are involved in DR planning. So antivirus is to prevent the disaster from the internal IT system attack from the intruders, and firewall also it's protect against external threat actors. So the answer is all. So here the question is, what is an asset in the context of cyber security? Gap or weakness, that is vulnerability, not something in need of protection. This is the correct one. User and infrastructure is not correct. So answer is B. Here the question is, a security event or combination of security events that constitute of security incident in which an intruder gains or attempt to gain access to system or system resource without authorization. Here the keyword is intruder gains. So definitely the answer is intrusion. So the option is A. Here the question is the prevention of authorized access to resources or the delaying of time critical operations. Here the thing is availability. This question states the availability is going to compromised. So whether or poisoning, sink flood, and denial of service are all. So as per the statement, the denial of service is the correct answer for appropriate answer for this question. Or poisoning and sink flood are the one of the mechanism, it might cause a system to unavailable. But denial of service is a term used to describe the question. So the answer is C. The question is DAS is an integrated platform and a graphical tool for performing security testing of web application. So Burbshoot, Wireshark, Fiddler, and ZenMap. So the question stated the graphical integrated platform. So the answer is Burbshoot is the correct one. Wireshark and Fiddler and ZenMap, these are used to trace the network communication. Wireshark is used to get the trace of that communication between two devices. So it can able to trace all the OSI layer, all the OSI model layer stack traces is can able to trace. Fiddler it can able to only trace application layer traces like web request and response. ZenMap is the graphical tool to get the trace. It is used to get a map of the connected network devices in the network. So the correct answer is A. Burbshoot. Here the question is a large organization is planning to create a DRP. Which of the following is the best document to provide a high level overview of the plan? Here the keyword is high level overview. Okay. So first option is a technical guide for IT personnel. So this is a kind of a document which is only IT personnel can ever, and this is not the correct answer. Department specific plan. This is also not correct one. This is not high level. Full copy of the plan for critical disaster recovery team members. So this also won't give the high level plan or high level activities. Executive summary. So that's a correct one. Executive summary contains a high level overview of the plan. So the answer is D. Here the question is which of the following best describes the purpose of business impact analysis? Options are to describe a predefined set of instructions or procedures for restoring IT and communication services after disruption. So this is a DR plan. This is DRP. To mitigate security violation and ensure the business operations can continue during contingency. So this is not one. And to provide a high level overview of disaster recovery plan. This is not the best describes the question. And option D is to analyze an information system requirement and functions in order to determine system contingency priority. So that's the main purpose of business impact analysis. So it's to ensure it's to get the detailed business operations and check and get the which one is priority and what are the impacts of that business disruption. So everything is planned in the business impact analysis. So the option D is the correct one. The first question is the amount of risk at a broad level that an organization is willing to accept in pursuing of its strategic objectives. So the keyword is that amount of risk that organization is willing to accept. So it's clearly the answer is risk appetite. C is the answer. Here the question is the highest level governance documents in an organization usually approved and issued by management, usually to support a compliance initiative. So here the keyword is high level governance and issued by management. So it's clearly the and it's a compliance initiative. So clearly the answer is policy. So here the question is the purpose of risk identification. The options are employees at all levels of organization are responsible for identifying risk, identify risk to communicate it clearly, identify risk to protect it against it. So as for the risk identification, so all three are the correct one. So option D is the answer. So here the question is in the information system terms, the activities necessary to restore IT and communication services of an organization during and after outage. So IR, the incident response, that's not the correct. Business continuity is not the correct because the keyword here is restore IT and communication. It's not sustain business operation. So risk management is not irrelevant. So the only option is DR. Disaster recovery is the correct answer. Here the question is a security practitioner who needs step-by-step instructions to complete a provisioning task. So this is either standard policy, procedure, or law or regulations. Here the keyword is step-by-step instruction. So the clearly the answer is procedures. So here the question is a standard that defines a wired communication of network devices. So here the keyword is standard. So okay, out of this, which is standard? Switch, hub, and router. These are devices. Only Ethernet is a standard. So the option is D. Here the question is which OSI layer VPN works. So what is VPN? VPN is a virtual private network which used to establish a connection from outside to the corporate network using point-to-point tunnel, and it works in the network layer of the OSI layer. So the answer is D. 3 is the answer. There are types of VPN which may works in layer 4 also. Since here the layer 4 is not defined, so the layer option D is the correct one. So which is related to privacy. So GDPR, FIPS, MOU are all. So as per the definition, GDPR is the correct answer. FIPS and MOU is not related to privacy. So the answer is A. So this is the definition of GDPR. So here the question is the process of how an organization is managed usually include all aspects of how decisions are made for that organization. Here the keyword is how the organization going to take the decision in business operations. So what do you call with a standard policy, procedure, or governance? So here that called the keyword is all aspects and decision making. So clearly the answer is D, governance. Here the question is modern solutions try to provide a more holistic approach detecting rootkit, ransomware, and spyware. So here the keyword is holistic approach. So antivirus is not the correct answer because antivirus is related to detect only the known viruses and adverse in the system. And IDS and IPS is a solution. It's a intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system is to prevent the intrusion and any advisory attack to that device. And anti-malware is a holistic approach for detecting rootkit, ransomware, and malware. So the answer is D, anti-malware. So here the question is how often should an organization test its business continuity plan? Continually, annually, routinely, or daily? So as per the IAC square definition, it should be routinely. C is a correct answer. Here the question is Crystal is a security administrator for a large online service provider. Crystal learns that the company is harvesting personal data of its customers and sharing the data with local governments where the company operates without the knowledge of the user to allow the government to persecute users on the basis of their political and philosophical beliefs. The published users agreement states that the company will not share personal user data with any entity without the user's explicit permission. According to the ISC Square Code of Ethics, to whom does Crystal ultimately report in this situation? Okay, so the company Crystal works for maybe the government of the country where the company operates, maybe ISC Square. The ISC Square is definitely not the answer because it's irrelevant. And the users, as per the ISC Square Code of Ethics, the user is a correct answer. Option D is the correct. So here the question is removing the design beliefs that the network has any trusted space. Security is managed at each possible level, representing that most granular asset. Microsegmentation of workload is a tool of that model. So here the keyword is microsegmentation and trust space. So the clearly the answer is A. Zero trust is the answer. Here the question is which plan provides a team with immediate response procedures and checklist and guidelines for the management? BCP, IRP, DRP and all. The answer is BCP. A is the correct answer. So here the question is as Chief Information Security Officer at a large organization documented a policy that established the acceptable use of cloud environment for all staffs. This is an example of technical control, physical control or cloud control or management or administrative control. So the statement clearly states the documented policy. So policies are related to management or administrative control. So the option D is the correct one. Here the question is a company experienced an event in which an unauthorized user accessed personally identifiable information. What term best describes this event? Adverse event, breach, intrusion or exploit. So as per the definition, the breach is the correct answer. Here the question is what is a threat in the context of cybersecurity? An inherent weakness or flaw in a system. So this is not a threat, this is vulnerability. That's not the correct answer. Something in need of protection, that is asset. And the means by which a threat actor carries out its objective. This is threat vector. This is not threat. And option D is a person or thing that takes action to exploit a target organization's system on vulnerabilities. So this is a correct answer as per cybersecurity. So option D is the correct one. So here the question is created by switches to logically segment a network without altering its physical topology. So here the keyword is logical segment. So LAN, WAN and MAN are not going to create a logical segment. Only VLAN, virtual LAN is going to create a logical segment. So the answer is C, VLAN. So here the question is what are the primary responsibility of computer incident response team CIRT during an incident? The keyword is primary responsibility. To determine the difference between minor and major incidents might be to troubleshoot network and system issues. No. To provide medical assistance to accident scene. This is also not the correct one. To assess the amount and scope of damage caused by the incidents. This is the primary responsibility of CIRT. So the answer is D. So here the question is does our virtual separation within a switch and are used mainly to limit broadcast domain. So here the keyword is virtual separation. LAN, WAN and MAN are not going to do create any virtual separation and it won't limit the broadcast traffic. So the answer is VLAN is a correct answer. VLAN creates a virtual logical network within a network so that using the layer 3 switch that is to limit the broadcast domain. So broadcast domain means so that the communication only happens within the network that the packets won't be transmitted to the other segmented networks so that it limits that congestion of the network traffic. So the answer is C. So here the first question is which drives for the IP version 6 introduction. So here the options are IP version 4 was not secured and IP4 version was not compatible with new devices because IP version 4 was projected to be exhausted IP version 6 supports Wi-Fi. Okay, so here the question is which drives, which is the main cause for the IP version 6 introduction. So here IP version 4 was not secured. That may be the correct answer, but the appropriate answer is because IP version 4 was projected to be exhausted, because the IP version 6 have only limited set of IP addresses available. It's go soon it's going to be exhausted. That's the main driving factor for the introduction of IP version 6. So the answer is C. So here the question is, what is the main purpose of creating baseline in ensuring system integrity? So the keyword is main purpose. Okay, we'll see the options. To compare the baseline with the current state of the system. That may be correct. To protect the information, yeah. To understand the current state of the system. So out of the three, the main purpose of creating baseline is to compare the baseline with the current state of the system to find the deviation. So the answer is A. Here the question is a type of malware that downloads onto a computer disguised as a legitimate program. So here the options are worm, Trojan, virus, and ransomware. So if you see the question carefully, disguised as a legitimate program. So the answer is B is the correct answer, Trojan. So here the question is embedded systems and network enabled device that communicate with the internet are considered as endpoint, node, IoT, and router. So here the keyword is network enabled device that communicate with the internet. So the appropriate answer is IoT. Option C is the correct answer. So here the question is type 1 authentication possesses which of the following? So what is type 1 authentication? Type 1 authentication is the user remembers the key and the password. That's a type 1 authentication. So user may share their credential with others. Yeah, they might share the credentials. A user may forget their password. Yeah, often user forgot the password. Password might be intercepted and stolen. Yeah, this can be man in the, through man in the middle attack, or if the password is somewhere it written, anybody can able to trace it. So type 1 authentication possesses all of the three options. So the answer is D. So here the question is which maintains that a user or entity should only have access to the specific data, resources, and applications needed to complete a required task. Okay. Here the keyword is a required task. So it's a kind of a limit. So zero trust is a architecture that won't state the purpose, and defense in depth. So that also didn't the correct, not the correct answer, because defense in depth is a multi-layer setting up the multi-layer security controls. So here that is not specified, and least privileges. So that is a correct answer. So the least privileges is we set up the minimum permission for the entity so that they can able to perform the operation. So that the permission elevation attack or misuse of the privileges won't happen. So the answer is C is a correct answer. So here the question is agreement between a cloud service provider and a cloud service customer based on a taxonomy of cloud computing specific terms. So whether it's a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement, SLA, service level agreement, or all. The correct answer is SLA, service level agreement. Here the question is an attackers place themselves between two devices, often a web browser and a web server. So which is what type of attack is this? Either phishing, snooping, or on path? Since the question stated between two parties like web browser and web server, on path is the correct answer. Option C is the correct one. Here the question is what is the range of private ports? So private ports are also called dynamic ports. So the correct answer is option C. Here the question is the requirement of both the manager and the accountant to approve the transaction fund exceeding $50,000. Which security concept best suit this? So here the thing is two persons involved in the transaction. So MAC mandatory access control, that is not relevant, and defense in depth, So defense in depth is kind of setting up the multiple layers of security controls to protect the asset. Here there is no security controls are involved, so B is not the correct answer. 2% integrity, that's a correct answer, because 2% integrity stated that if you want to do any single operations, it need to be accompanied by 2% to avoid the financial fraud or to maintain the integrity or transaction integrity. So the option C is the correct one. Principal or least privileges is not the correct one. Here the question is which is the loopback address. Here the one is colon 127.0.0.1 and 25.25.25.0. So what is loopback address? Loopback address is a local address which we use to communicate with the local device. So option A and B both are loopback address. So option A is a loopback address for IP version 6 and option B is a loopback address for IP version 4. So the answer is D is the correct answer. Here the question is, an organization develops a set of procedures to restore critical business processes after a significant disruption. What type of plan is this? So here the keyword is restore critical business. So the answer A is a correct one. So business continuity plan. IRP and DRP are not the correct one. So the answer A is a correct one. Here the question is, sending employees to work at customers' home can open your business to the more risky or bodily injury or property damage claim. So to reduce the risk and avoid potential losses, you decided not to offer those kind of services. So what type of risk is this? Risk acceptance, risk assessment, risk avoidance, or risk control. So here it's clearly stated you are going to avoid the potential loss and you decide not to offer those kind of services. Here we are not going to provide the services. It's a risk avoidance. Here the question is 255.255.255.0 address represents what is that, this address called? Either broadcast, unicast, subnet mask or global address. So this is not a broadcast address or unicast address. This is a subnet mask. Subnet mask is used to represent the IP address, which is a network part and the host part. The network part of the address is represented as 1 and the host part is represented as zeros. So this is the address is called subnet mask. So option C is a correct one. Here the question is, what does the term business in business continuity planning refer to? The financial performance of the organization, technical system of the organization, or the operation aspect of the organization, or physical infrastructure of the organization. As per the cybersecurity, business in business continuity plan refers to the operation aspect of the organization. So option C is the correct one. So here the question is, an employee unintentionally shares confidential information with an unauthorized party. What term best describes this situation? Whether this is event? No, this is not event. And exploit? No, this is not exploit, because the system vulnerability is not exploited. This is not exploit. Intrusion. So there is no intruder involved in this activity. So intrusion is not the correct one. Breach. Yeah, breach is the correct one, because here the confidential information is disclosed unauthorized manner. So the answer D is the correct one. Breach. Here the question is, which is not possible models of an incident response team? So whether the incident response team will be leveraged, dedicated, hybrid, or outsourced. As per the cyber security, so we won't outsource the incident response team. So option D is the correct one. Here the question is, a company wants to ensure that its employees cannot bring unauthorized electronic devices into the workplace. Which physical control is best suited for this scenario? So here the keyword is best suited. So metal detector, security guard, RFID scanner, and baggage X-ray machine. After the four, metal detector is the best option, which can detect the electronic device entering the office premises. Here the question is, the IT department is responsible for creating the organization business continuity plan. So whether is it true or false? This is false, because the IT department only is not responsible for creating the business continuity plan. So option B is the correct one. So here the question is, an unknown person obtaining access to company's file system without authorization is an example of intrusion, breach, exploit, or incident. This is not intrusion because the intruder is not involved in this activity. Breach, yeah, definitely this is breach because system unauthorized person gain access to the sensitive information without authorization. So B is the correct answer. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and best wishes for your exam.